Ron, how did you find carnivore?
Well, I'll give a long story short. I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast with Jordan Peterson, and he talked about his diet. I think he was on the lion diet at the time, if I recall. And that's kind of when I first heard about it. I always kind of liked following Jordan Peterson. I was kind of interested in the different topics that he talked about. So that was my first exposure to it. And then, the YouTube algorithms start throwing you different videos, like, for example, Dr. Berg and Dr. Berry and Dr. Chafee, just to name a few. Actually, there's probably dozens and dozens of them that I've watched. Uh, but really, what got me started on the diet was a friend of mine he wasn't really on a carnivore. He's on kind of a carnivore-ish type diet. He was still eating carbs, but every time he came over, he would okay, if we're going to get pizza, can I get the thin crust? And then he wouldn't eat the outside of the pizza, just the part that had the topping. And he would always kind of like, okay, I'll just have a little potato with the dinner, that type of thing. He's always just kind of, and he said, no, I don't want any bread, and kind of like I didn't really know what he was doing, at the time, but him and his wife came over for Easter dinner in 24, and neither of us have children, so we kind of make our own family on the holidays. Uh, and actually, I've been friends with the guy now for 58 years, close to 59, ever since we were 12 years old. And so he came over for dinner. And he had lost about 40 pounds since I had seen him last. And so, we talked a little bit about he was cutting his carbs and stuff. And so that evening, after they went home, I told my wife, I said, you know what, I'm going to try the carnivore diet. And so she was getting ready to go visit her family. She's from the Philippines. And she was going to be gone for 3 weeks. And I'm pretty good at cooking on the grill, always have been. And of course, I've always loved steaks. One of my favorite meals. So she went ahead and sorted the freezer and put on one side all the beef and hamburger that we had in the freezer. And she says, well, there you are. While I'm gone, I'm not going to be worried about what you eat because the grill's over there on on our deck, and your meat is here. So that's how I got started. Um, I really I don't know how far back you want to go, but I've always had a weight problem, always. And I've tried diet after diet. I remember one time, I know I didn't talk about this before, but at one time I tried, I would eat 700 calories a day. I would skin the off the chicken before I cook it, the old low fat. I would eat 700 calories a day, and then I'd go walk on the treadmill till the treadmill said I'd burn 700 calories. And guess what happened? I gained weight. That's like, okay, this doesn't make any sense at all. So at that time, I don't think they had quite the understanding that they do now of the science between insulin and insulin resistance and all that. But my weight had ballooned up to 472 pounds. And I had arthritis, terrible. I used to go walking and bike riding, and I couldn't do that anymore. The pain was too much. I could only maybe stand for 5 or 10 minutes. I would walk from one room to the house, and the first thing I would do is look for the nearest chair to sit down. And my wife did all the grocery shopping. I would drive her to the grocery store, and I would sit in the car watching YouTube videos on my cell phone while she's in doing the grocery shopping. And so that's all changed. I think I told you before, I used to have a tool. I couldn't bend my knees enough to put my socks on. And so I had a tool that I had to put my socks on with. And I had, grabbers. You know what the grabbers are. You pick stuff up. Um, I had grabbers on every floor of the house. This is a 2-story house and a basement, and I had grabbers. So something fell on the floor, I'd have to go get the grabber and pick it up with. I couldn't bend down to get it. So I was in so much pain, and it wasn't the quality of life that I had hoped for in my retirement. It just, it just wasn't. I also, some of the symptoms I had, I didn't really have a lot of bad symptoms other than the arthritis. But I used to wake up every morning and I would cough up mucus, and I'd wake up and I'd start coughing, and just this thick mucus would come up from my lungs and sinuses and stuff. And also something I hadn't mentioned before that I remembered is I used to get skin takes. I would have I had a few skin takes on my face even. Uh, and I was on blood pressure medicine, Loprinocil. I went on the carnivore diet, and uh, I before that I had spent 4 years counting calories, and I lost an average of 10 pounds a year, doing 2 meals a day, trying to basically do intermittent fasting, although I didn't know that was what I was doing, but that's what I was doing. Uh, and but 10 pounds a year. It took me 4 years to lose 40
It's
pounds,
it's so little, and you're sacrificing so much every day with all the exercise and the non-fatty, very kind of small meals and all this kind of thing, right?
Oh, exactly. Exactly. So, when I started carnivore, and I've got some notes here, um, within 2 weeks, the mucus stopped. And 3 weeks, I had to stop the Loprinocil because my blood pressure went so low, uh, that I had to stop taking it. And by the third week on the diet, I was down to would be like from 430 down to 414 in 3 weeks. And I'm now I have to look. I think I'm about 80 weeks on the diet now, uh, and um, I'm right now. My weight has for the last month plateaued, and I can talk about that a little bit. What I'm doing with that. But um, my weight now is down approximately 210 pounds from my 472. I'm in the 260 range.
What a difference.
Yeah, I can get around now. I go for walks almost every day, maybe every other day. Not. I don't maybe walk 7 days a week, but I'll walk 4 to 5 days a week. Yesterday I did a 7/10 of a mile walk that was actually easy for me. I've done 1 mile walks. I haven't pushed it because I can about uh, maybe a half a mile. I start feeling in my knees again. Although it's not where I have to stop or get off of them, but it's like I start slowing down a little bit. And then by the time I get back home, I'll sit down, and within 2 or 3 minutes, the pain's gone. Or I should say discomfort. It's really not pain even. So, I'm actually been pricing up. I have an old mountain bike, but the thing's in such bad shape. It probably cost me more to fix it than buying a new one. Plus, I don't need a special bike anymore. Bikes are designed to handle 250 pounds. Well, I'm 260. Uh, I had one that was designed to handle 600. It was a very expensive bike. I had special rims put on it that were for tandem and stuff. Well, I don't need to do that anymore. So I've been pricing bikes up. I haven't bought one yet because I'm looking at, we're talking mid-October here. And here in Michigan, where I am, it's only, I'd say within maybe 6 or maybe, well, maybe 8 to 10 weeks, we're going to have snow. I mean, that's pretty common. So, you know, at my age, you don't want to get injured. So I'm not going to bike when there's snow and ice on the street, you know. Just so I said, I think maybe I'll wait till the spring and get a bike.
Mm.
So
So, and that exercise you're doing, whether it's walking or whether it's biking, that's more because you actually want to get out there and do it. It's not a feeling of necessity.
no, actually, it's kind of funny because I used to go and I had these shows that I liked. I still like them, and I kind of scheduled my day to take a break during the hour that each show was on. Now it's like, oh, okay, I've seen that episode 2 or 3 or 4 times, and it's like, you know what? I feel like going for a walk, or I feel like going and maybe doing some repair around the house. Just oh, you know, geez, these doors need tightening. Okay, take the screwdriver out and start. I see something that needs to be done, and I just kind of want to do it. And so it's just it seems like my activity level has changed and my interests have changed. And I really have such a so much more positive view of life. I can remember when I was, you know, on counting calories, I was going like, oh, geez, you know, I'm 69 or 68 years old at the time. And I said, you know, I'm really glad I'm a short timer. That's like kind of like, you know, if I die next week, I'll just say, well, it's been a good run. Now I go and I say, you know, I guess I only have 50 or 60 years left to live. You know, that's just it's such a difference in my outlook and life and everything, and it's hard to explain to people how that happens.
It's a pretty good feeling where your whole life you feel like I'm getting older, I'm getting, less mobile, I'm getting, less comfortable in my clothes, I'm getting everything. And so you just feel like, well, this is my destiny, like that's my genetics, whatever. And then to realize that, well, it doesn't have to be that way is
uh,
is is such a big thing.
it is, and it's just kind of like I used to do my banking through the drive-through. If I had to go in for something, it was like, oh, okay, I gotta, you know, I take the cane out and I walk in and I'm like, is there a chair around here I can sit down in while I'm waiting? You know, and now instead of going through the drive-through, I go and I park in front of the bank and I walk in. If there's a shop or something that I want to get something, look for clothes, I go in. My wife goes in the grocery store. I go in with her. I said, well, let me check the meat counter, see if there's a special or something. And you know, there's something that I want to get. Um, I'll just go in. Sometimes we'll take two separate carts. She goes and shops for her food. I'll go shop for mine. And then we'll get the meat and move all the stuff into one cart and then go check out. So it's a total game changer. It really is. I just, you know, and you try to explain to people how different you feel on this diet, and it's just like, um, I don't know. They just, I think it's just hard for them to understand because it's one of those things you have to experience. You really, um,
I
it's
I
just,
agree.
yeah. And I know you've told your story a few times too, and it's the same story. You gotta experience to understand it, and so you can't just, you know. I have my wife is visiting a relative out in Las Vegas right now. A cousin of hers. She's retired now. She used to work at the VA hospital there. So my wife went out there to visit her. And of course, I was getting ready for the surgery at the time she planned the trip. I said, I don't know how this surgery is going to turn out for my eyes. I'm going to have cataract surgery. And I said, so I'm just going to get you a ticket and I'll stay home because I don't know how this is going to go. And I said, it's a good time for me to contact Dave and tell him that I can do a follow up. so, uh, so anyway, she's, her cousin, I talked to her cousin on the phone and she says, boy, you have a lot of willpower. And I'm like, not really, because I'm not hungry ever. I eat as much as I want. And it's like, I can eat one meal a day, and it's like, it's rare that I'm even hungry before it's time to go to bed. Once in a while, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I could use a snack, but I'm going to bed in a half an hour. I'll just wait till morning.
Mm.
But she goes, I couldn't do that, she says. I couldn't do that. And I know you've run into that same situation with other people. So, I get that.
Yeah, it's all right for you. It works for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whatever works for you. Yeah, same old story. Same old story. I have had an influence, though. Actually, my wife's sister, who lives in the Philippines, she's cut way back on her rice and she's taking less insulin now. Because I keep telling her it's the carbs, and she hasn't given up the Filipino diet rice's life yet, and I don't know if she ever will, but she's been cutting way back on it, and her daughters, two of them are nurses, and one is a med tech, and they've been pushing on her to do this, so um, I say, Mom, you got to do this. I kind of like, so she's trying. So I've had an influence there, and I have my YouTube channel that I started for Carnivore channel, where I kind of basically talk about a lot of different, basically kind of anything that's on my mind that's related to either living life as a fat person, losing weight, what I'm going through right now. Like right now, I'm on a weight loss stall that's lasted a month. Actually, I've gained a few pounds. Some of my subscribers get back to me and they say, well, look, you're out walking. Your waist hasn't changed. You're putting on muscle and bone mass is what's going on. That's why you're not losing weight, even going up a few pounds. So it's kind of, you get that support, but you're also influencing people, I think, in a positive way. But I
So,
just can't believe how more positive I am about life in general.
mm, so what has your wife's feedback been, given that you've changed
Oh, she's
dramatically since that time she moved, all the meat over to one side of the freezer?
oh yeah, she's been very supportive. Again, she hasn't changed her diet. She doesn't have the same weight problem I have. It's like, um, you live in Japan, so most Asian women don't seem to have weight problems. Maybe some do, but my wife's not skinny by any means, but she's certainly uh, a long ways from being obese. I mean, she's not. I wouldn't even say she's overweight. Um, she's heavier since she moved to America. I think it's because of all the junk that they put in the food here. Even the rice she notices is different here. And of course, she'll eat, ear of corn, especially in the summertime. You can stop along the road and buy, sweet corn. But she notices too that the sweet corn is different here. The kernels are bigger. That they don't have any rotten kernels or whatever, or kernels that were eaten by insects. Stuff in the Philippines, it's not the same. And we're basically even eating the corn. People worry about pesticides on the food. Well, they genetically modify that corn so that it's resistant to insects. So you're eating a pesticide basically that's been genetically uh, put into the corn. And the other fruits and vegetables here in the U.S. are like that. I've gotten a real education on nutrition since I've been on carnivore. I probably have watched thousands of hours of YouTube channels now, and, basically on the, watching these doctors. And one person I enjoy watching is very technical, and I don't claim to understand all the things, is Ben Binkman. I think he has a great lecture series. And Geez, I can't even think of the doctors' names now offhand. I'd have to go to my computer and print the list, but I'm using it right now. So, uh, there's a lot of it's nice that we have YouTube now, that these guys that have made these discoveries can come out and tell you what they've found, even though it's not part of the standard of care. And you realize the problems with the standard of care, and even the blood tests that the doctors run. You go and says, all you're telling me is my cholesterol level and my triglycerides. You're not even checking for particle density. You're not checking for the my fasting insulin. You're not testing any of the stuff that really matters. You're just basically looking for some reason to prescribe a statin to me. That's really like.
Exactly. Why would they need to dig deeper into, further numbers when they can convince you to take that prescription just by saying, "Well, your cholesterol's really high."
Yeah.
Um, they've got it stitched up. Um, so speaking of that, like, what's your doctor's feedback been? Like, you're off your blood pressure meds, your weight's significantly down. Is your doctor not like, "Okay, we got to contact Newsweek about this. It's amazing."
Yeah. Well, let me tell you about that, about my last visit. And first of all, the doctor that I had been seeing for the last 30 years left the clinic that I was going to. And the clinic was, maybe about 25 miles from it. Used to be close to home, but since I moved to this house 20 years ago, it's within driving range, but still, it's about 20 miles to get to that office. So I continue seeing him because I've been seeing him. Well, he left. He's gone. He left the clinic. So I said, there's a clinic through a different healthcare facility that's basically 3 blocks from my house. So I switched to them. And actually they contacted me and said, "You haven't been in for your warfarin test, because I'm on warfarin still. Apparently that's some kind of genetic anomaly that I have, that I'm prone to clots. And I haven't really been able to find any information that says otherwise. Um, so I needed a place to go in and get monthly blood test for my warfarin level, my blood thinner. So I saw this doctor that is now considered my primary care doctor one time when I first went there, just once. I did a follow up. The Medicare here pays, in the U.S., pays for an annual visit once a year. So I went for an annual visit, and I saw the nurse, and then I got the person that came in, supposedly my doctor, was a nurse practitioner. It wasn't even my doctor I saw the first. So I've only seen my primary care doctor one time. Once. That's it. Uh, the only person that mentioned anything is the nurse who took my blood pressure and was taking down my information. Says, "Do you realize you've lost 39% of your body weight? Did you do that on purpose?" Yeah, that's it. And then the nurse practitioner came in, and she gave me what would the right word, a cognitive test, I think they call it, or something like that. Basically, at 71 years old, do you still have your mind? That's basically what they're looking for. And I kind of found the test insulting, actually. Uh, and I put a YouTube video out about it. I said, I don't know if I'm even going to go back. I can keep going for my blood tests that I can monitor my own warfare, and I go online onto their portal and I can see what my level is, and I don't even need to talk to the doctor or the nurse that calls me. I said, yeah, I know you're going to tell me to take less or take more. Because they'll ask, well, has your diet changed? And it's the standard, but I've been doing this for over 30 years now. So you know, I know the routine. It's almost like I could go in, tell me what the number is, and I know what to do. I said, okay, switch these days or whatever. I already know what they're going to tell me. So it's almost like I don't even need a primary care doctor. Matter of fact, one of the things that I tell my friends now, I says, you know what? I have a primary health care doctor, but my primary health care provider is me. That I'm my primary. So the doctor doesn't sit at the table and decide what I'm going to eat. I said that food is my medicine, not any pharmaceuticals that you're going to prescribe for me. And so, like I say, my attitude has changed completely. And my YouTube channel, I talk about a lot of different things, but I try to convey that idea that what you do is up to you, not up to some doctor or somebody else is telling you, oh, you need to eat this or you need to do that. I think I did 3 videos on everybody's an expert because everybody will tell you what you're doing wrong. They all think they know everything, that they know more than you do. That especially when you weigh 400 and some pounds, they're all going to tell you, God, eating meat, that's the worst thing you could possibly do. Okay, yeah.
The
Well,
thing
that's fine.
is, the thing is, when you get to the point where you realize that the doctor is not really helping you all that much, they can give you some tests and stuff, but it really comes down to what you're putting into your body. It's actually quite an empowering feeling because it's like, okay, well, I don't need to go and see this guy and have him look at me with his furrowed brow and feel bad about myself. I can take control myself and handle this myself.
I agree 100%. I agree 100% with that. I have to say, I'm not a strict carnivore. I do vary from the diet a little bit, but to me, the food has to be low in carbs and low in oxalates. I do have a few vegetable products that I have. I don't have any fruit. I avoid fructose at all cost. Uh, I do use a little allulose once in a while as a sweetener, but like most of the time, I drink my tea unsweetened. Uh, I'm not a coffee fan. I drink tea, so uh, but and I drink water. I mean, that's what I drink with my meals. It's either tea or water. So, and once in a great while, it's like, okay, I'll have some allulose in it. And I did make, like I mentioned, I got a birthday coming up. I made a batch of carnivore ice cream for my birthday. So, so I've got that sitting in the freezer. My wife's going to be coming home this weekend, and then we're going to the next day have a kind of a birthday dinner. I already have some porterhouse steaks that I'm ready to pull out and thaw, and so I'm gonna have steak and ice cream for my birthday.
Nice. So on a typical day, like how are you eating? Is it OMAD, TUMAD?
Yeah, I'm OMAD. Once in a while, I'm trying to think. I've had a couple times during this during my plateau where I've been out walking and I come back and I said, I'm hungry. So I said, it's only been 4 hours since I ate, so I'm going to have a small meal. Maybe I'll have a couple eggs or something like that. And so, but that's only happened a few times in the last month. So pretty much I'm OMAD.
So that one meal a day, is that like a steak and some eggs, or how are you doing that?
It varies. Sometimes I'll eat eggs. only. Sometimes I'll eat egg with maybe a sausage, sometimes with bacon. Sometimes I'll eat just a steak. Sometimes I'll have steak and eggs. Uh, and sometimes I'll have hamburger. Uh, so it just kind of depends on, I go to the freezer and say, okay, what do I want to eat for the next couple of days? Because I'll buy the family packs of steaks, and then uh, we buy the 5 pound tubes of hamburger, and then my wife cuts them up into patties, and then she puts them, like, she saves the tray that the steaks were on, and she puts the hamburger patties on. She puts anywhere from like six to eight on a tray where there were two porterhouse steaks, and then recovers them, and then we freeze them again. So I feel like having a hamburger here the next couple of days, so I'll go pull out 6 or 8 patties, whatever is on on the tray, and thaw them out, and then usually the first hamburger that I have, I will make myself a hamburger omelet. I really love those. Ground beef, chop it up, and then just pour egg over it and cook it that way. Uh, one of my favorites is a hamburger omelet, but I don't have that because then the other hamburgers, I don't want them to spoil in the fridge. I mean, they'll be okay for a few days, but I go ahead and cook them up, and then it makes it easy. The next day I can go and just reheat the hamburger patties in the microwave. So uh, it's pretty simple. My wife is still working, so um, you know, she drives herself into work in the morning most of the time. Once in a while, I'll drive her if she's not feeling well or didn't get a good sleep. But most of the time, she drives herself, and so I have my one meal by myself, and she's getting used to having her dinner by herself. I'll go sit with her sometimes and pour myself a glass of tea. But that's kind of our routine. But she doesn't really mind because she's seen the results, uh, and it's quite dramatic. One of the things that was kind of emotional for me, on our anniversary, we went out to a steak restaurant for dinner, and a couple things happened. One thing is, my wife said, she says, I noticed people were not staring at you. And sometimes I get dirty looks from people. I wouldn't see it, but she would see it. She would notice it. Uh, and the other thing is that the waitress took us both up to a booth. Okay. Well, I haven't sat behind a booth in decades. I couldn't fit in. And so I would always ask, well, can you take me to a table that has an armless chair? You know, because that would be the only way that I could eat at a restaurant. And some restaurants don't even have that. So it was kind of emotional for me. I sat in the booth, and I said, oh my God, I can fit in here. It's like, okay, I have this much space between my belly and the booth even. It's just an incredible, it's kind of like uh, you go through this kind of psychological change, I guess. In I don't know how to describe it. It's just one of those things. It's just like, my goodness. Even driving the car, I'm like this far away. My stomach's this far away from the steering wheel, and I've got the steering wheel pulled all the way out. Used to be I had to put the steering wheel almost all the way in, or if not all the way in, and my belly would be rubbing against the wheel.
These are things that, someone who is an average weight never thinks about. But when you've been that size, when you've been close to 500 pounds and then you lose so much, it like just those little things, it's life changing.
Well, yeah, I don't walk with a cane anymore. I mean, it's like, and I still have my handicap placard, but I don't need to park in the handicap spot. The only time I park in a handicap spot is if the place is so busy and that's the only spot available, because I still have the placard. Uh, Actually, my wife needs to get one because she's starting to have uh, some pain. Uh, she's 6 years younger than me, but she's close to retirement age, and she's starting to have arthritic issues. Maybe one of these days she'll go on the diet with me. I don't know, but uh, you know, she's been very supportive and very happy that she's been really happy with the change. And what another thing is that, like, she goes to this, I can get my arms all the way around you now. She couldn't before. That again, those are things that a smaller person probably never thinks of. These are like big issues to people, that are obese, like I was. Uh, and the thing they don't realize is that they think, oh well, your eating is out of control. No, it's not. It's not that I was eating too much. It was that I was eating the wrong things. I was a sugar addict. I drank the Pepsi, the Coke. Not to pick at any one company, but I drank the soda pop. Even the Sprite and 7 Up.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's not about the amount of food, right? Because you went through a period of time where you were down to 700 calories and you were working those calories off and still not getting much of a result, right?
Yeah, actually getting negative results. Even uh,
Mm.
it's like um, yeah, it has nothing. Exercise is really a very poor way to lose weight. Okay. Yeah, you can put on muscle, and it's probably good for your heart. I mean, it is good for your heart, not probably. It's probably good for a lot of things. And I exercise now because I can, where I didn't before when I couldn't. I just was in too much pain. But exercise is a poor way to lose weight. You got to control the carbs. You've got to get those down. And the carnivore diet is such a simple way. You thaw the piece of meat. I always buy meat when it's on sale, stock my freezer, so it saves money. And you think about it, and you end up maybe eating for $7 to $10 a day. Uh, you can. I don't know any other diet that you can go that inexpensive, and it's so simple to fix. You take the steak and you throw it on the grill, or you put in the pan. Uh, you take the roast and you put it in the oven or in the crock pot. It's like. And another thing that we do too is my wife's mother used to make jerky, so my wife knows how to make jerky. And so we will take a roast and cut it, but we'll use the air fryer instead of hanging it out in the sun. We use the air fryer, and we make jerky. That's another thing that I have with my eggs sometimes is beef jerky made from roast, made from either a chuck or a round roast. So you just reminded me of that, and uh,
Nice. Um,
so
so, if someone was getting started with carnivore, based on your experience, what tips or advice would you give them?
first of all, I'd have to say you need to do your own research. Uh, there's transition. Some people have transition periods, other people don't. Uh, go and look at some of the people that are doing the diet, and there's videos out there like how to get started. Look at 5, 10, 15 of those videos, because they all have kind of different ways of getting started, and see what fits for you. And you're going to have to, most people, I think it takes 3 or 4 weeks for them to kind of sink into it. Yeah, I mean, you can't just say, oh, this isn't working for me after 30 days. Although in my case, it was. But that's because I was always a steak and potato guy. I just gave up the potato. That was, easy for me, like no big deal. It's probably one of the reasons I had as few health problems as I had, because I always loved beef. Uh, like I say, I was a meat and potatoes guy. Um, but you have to watch out too and read labels because uh, I like sausages. Well, um, I don't hardly ever eat kielbasa anymore, and I eat very few hot dogs. I will once in a while just to treat myself, but you look and they say there's no sugar in it, but then you go and they look and what's in the ingredients list? Dextrose. Yeah, like okay, people don't know that's a sugar. It's just like so. And they'll say, "Oh, it only has so many carbs and stuff like that." But there's a lot of stuff I hate to say this, but they lie on those labels. I mean, okay, you have to read really what the ingredients is, and we all carry these little devices around with us. Oops, sorry about that. We call a cell phone, a handheld computer. If you don't know what something on that label says, go ask your AI or your speech to text or just type it in. Uh, if it's got 30 ingredients on there, leave it on the shelf. that's that's my attitude. It's like the only things that I buy that have labels on it would be like sauerkraut, which is fermented cabbage. That's one of the vegetable products that I eat. I will have that for the sake of flavor. Uh, but avoid the seed oils. Oh my goodness, that's I swear one of the reasons that I ended up this way is that and my mother who died at age 52 of cancer, she would cook and it wouldn't be with lard or butter or anything like that. It was with Crisco oil. I mean, and then I swear that's the reason she died young and the reason that I ended up being 400 pounds is because everything was cooked with Crisco oil. Anything that my grandmother's recipe called for lard, it was the canister where it looks like lard, the Crisco, and I just found out recently that Crisco actually funded that organization.
I think
Uh,
it's the hardest. I think it's the Heart Association.
Heart
Yeah,
Association, yeah.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, so basically, if they tell you not to eat seed oil, they're cutting their own throat. So you think you trust these associations and stuff like that? You can't. They're so corrupt, and it's not until you look at this stuff and start studying this stuff that you know this. And unfortunately, people who are working all the time, they just don't have time. They trust that what the grocery stores put on the shelves, uh, are okay for them, are safe for them, and they're not. It's like
Mm.
it's like navigating a poison shop. If anything, the easiest thing to do is buy your food from the outside of the store. Walk around, go over to where the produce is, and walk around back where the meat department is, and then over on the side where the dairy. Uh, you know, buy your food from there. At least then you're not going to be getting yourself full of a lot of I don't want to use the C word, but just a lot of junk.
Yeah. So Ron, if people want to find you online, how can they find your channel?
Well, I have two channels. I sometimes refer to myself as a musical carnivore because I have a music channel that I've had for 11 years, and then I had another channel that I was keeping kind of like personal videos on, and I renamed it to Carnivore Ron Dash Weight Loss, and that's the best way to get a hold of me.
No, no worries. I'll link to both of your channels in the show notes. Ron, thank you so much for coming back on and letting us know how things are going. I really appreciate your time.
Uh, and thank you, Dave, for doing this channel and what you're doing. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate your channel was a great support when I was first starting this, convincing me that this was really going to work. So thank you for what you're doing.